Monday. Frank Rock, House of Orange Sports Channel coming at you. You're in the place for Tennessee baseball on YouTube. You're in the place that's covering this more thoroughly than any others out there. Of course, I'm not including VolQuest 24/7. They got guys on site and stuff. Though House Orange is not there yet. Hopefully one day we will. But you're in the place. Thank you guys last night joining. Had our first stream, over 100 people, which was big for this channel. This thing keeps growing. It keeps going more and more. And hopefully we'll have more of you in here this weekend for the College World Series. But Tennessee is advancing to Omaha, where they'll play Florida State. It was announced just right before I started recording this that they will play Friday night, 7 p.m. Eastern time on ESPN. So, they're on the big network. They're in prime time. That'll be a lot of fun. I will preview Florida State and Tennessee's side of the bracket in Omaha tomorrow night. That will be releasing sometime tomorrow evening. But, a lot to talk about from last night. A lot to talk about. Obviously the game, not much. I'm not going to go much into that because we spent a lot of time on it last night. Just kind of some news and notes, some odds and ends. But, first got to hit on Tony Vitello's rant that he had last night. And I was doing a live show Saturday when I found some of the comments from it, and I saw somebody had asked him, and I knew it would fire him up, and I don't blame him on this because I saw it 2 years ago. I see it from fans occasionally about, well, if you don't make the Omaha or you don't win the championship, if you would have lost to Evansville, is the season a disappointment? No, it's not. And he got fired up about it, and I don't blame him. No, you win a share of the SEC, you win the SEC tournament. You win, 55 games on the season. Regardless if they do not win another game at this point, this is a very successful season. If they had not have won last night, would it have been a lot of questions? Would there a lot of, grinding the teeth and such? Yeah, absolutely. But it doesn't take away from the fact of what this team has done all year, the progress they've made and stuff like that. But, I know a lot of people out there, not necessarily Tennessee fans, but just it is kind of a Tennessee against the world mentality. There's a lot of people, of course, SEC fans, I would expect nothing else from them other than that small majority that pulls for SEC and everything. But yeah, it would have been, it was a successful season regardless, but the story is not finished. The story is moving on to this weekend against Florida State, Friday night, 7:00. And then they'll play again. I would imagine it'll be on Sunday. Normally it skips a day in Omaha. And the way the bracket works in Omaha, well, I'll get to that in a minute. Let's talk about Tony Vitello's rant a little bit more. A few things, and that's going to give me a segue into the transfer portal visitors for the weekend. But he was quoting Noah Webster. He was talking about, Cabo and vacations. And, you just saw this guy, he started talking about Dalton Bargo and what he did. And he made what I was thinking and what I'd said on here about, I thought Bargo should have pitch hit on Saturday, and he alluded to it, said, maybe we should have, and he come out point blank and he said, but you got to realize Cal Stark is my guy. And, hey, that's your guy, you roll with him. Okay. I don't have a problem with that. Right. Would I make a different decision? I'm not the coach though. This guy has built a program from the ground up, and, who am I to argue with what he's doing, especially when we keep seeing the improvement every year and what they've done just in that program. But, we talked about that. He took up for his players. You saw why, especially in some of these huddles and stuff, how it just seems like those guys really take to Tony Vitello. And, I've seen comments from some guys I figured out kind of in the know behind the scenes in the program on some of the message boards. You get some of them occasionally that just talk about how the players love him and about how there's players just lined up wanting to come to Tennessee and play. So that leads me a little bit of a segue. You had the 3 visitors for the weekend. You were supposed to have 4. So Bowker from Georgetown committed to Vanderbilt before he got to Knoxville. So Tony Vitello had a rant last night too as part of it. He said, if you're a guy coming here looking, this is not quote for quote what he said, but basically, if you're a guy coming here looking for a handout, a bounty, you're coming here, don't waste our time and don't waste your time either. And who he's referring to was Blake Sear from Miami, who come in. He committed to Florida today. It was said yesterday by, I seen quite a few people, he was going to. So apparently he come in. I'm thinking that had to be regarding him because he did take a visit this weekend. And, I mean, these college guys, I know they got to do what they got to do too. So, I mean, it all goes each way, coaches, players, so on. But, it basically ended up being a wasted visit that they had on a guy who ended up going to Florida. And, just same as Bowker went to Vanderbilt, this guy will have to see, more than likely have to see Tennessee next year as well. It's not guaranteed, but, with the new SEC schedule coming into play, we don't know that Tennessee will play Florida. They normally do, but we don't know that they will or not. And so that was definitely who Tony Vitello was referring to. From what I saw on Gavin Keelan from Louisville and Tommy Lepore, I mean, it seemed like the visits went well, but those guys will probably take more visits. So, we'll see more on that. Tennessee, I saw just a bit ago, Ben McKee on 24/7 posted that they are hosting JUCO right-hander Thomas Crabtree. He's from Collierville, Tennessee, was originally signed to ETSU out of high school. He played at Pearl River Community College in Mississippi. It's supposed to be one of the best JUCO programs in the country. So it said on their website, he had a 2.96 ERA, 1.16 whip, 76 innings pitched, struck out 105, walked just 28. And he was the first pitcher in that program since 2008 to have over 100 strikeouts. Went 10-2 on the mound, had one complete game. So, that seems to be a guy they're recruiting. I don't know, where they go with that stuff. But, I've been reading comments today as well. A lot of comments just on different boards. VolQuest had a lot of good stuff around. Eric Kane had some stuff. There's some posters on there that seem pretty knowledgeable about what's going on and how they're, really high on a lot of returning guys next year. Guys that, we see it every year, guys who it seemed take that next step. And, if a guy struggled this year, it doesn't mean we give up on him. If a guy redshirted this year, it doesn't mean that they're lost cause or anything. There will be guys this year who maybe struggled a little bit or maybe weren't everyday lineup that will step up next year. You see it every year out of this, these guys taking a step. And, I'm still saying they're losing 7 out of 8 in their lineup. I know people are saying Inslee's the wild card. I think Inslee's drafted. I'll go down saying Inslee and Causey both drafted. I see a lot of people saying that's your wild cards, guys that possibly, they don't know if they'll get drafted or what. I'm going to say those guys will get drafted and they'll be back. I don't have much doubt about it. I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, hey, we get them back next year. So it's not a bad thing at all. But I saw, I think, on both sites, VolQuest and 24/7, that those guys alluded to Tennessee hosting some visitors tomorrow. I don't have any names. I've searched on Twitter. I can't get, by all the mouthing back and forth with Tennessee fans in Kentucky, just having a territorial pissing contest on there and stuff. So it's, it's hard to find any news with that. Of course, you had South Carolina hiring Paul Maneri from the LSU coach at Tennessee, retired 3 years ago. So pretty interesting with that as well. But so portal visitors, you got to think they'll get some, it sounds like, in this week before they leave for Omaha. Obviously, they won't have any in while they're in Omaha. And, if they make it to the championship series. So the way Omaha is going to work, I said I would make my way back to that. So if Tennessee wins Friday night or lose, I think they'll play again Sunday, depending on what it is. They'll play, if they win Friday, I would think they'll play the late game on Sunday. And if they lose on Sunday, if they lose on Friday, they'll probably play the early game on Sunday against the loser of Virginia, North Carolina, or the other part, if they win, they'll play the winner of Virginia, North Carolina. So that part of it is double elimination. I think people mistake this, though, that the whole part of it's double elimination. It's not necessarily double elimination. It can be. But let's say if Tennessee wins Friday night and Sunday, okay? I'm just going to use, for example, they beat Florida State, and then I think North Carolina beats Virginia, even though that'd be a pretty good game. North Carolina, Tennessee beats North Carolina. I'm just playing theoretical here. All right, so Tennessee's 2-0. They're through. Well, Florida State, Virginia plays. The winner of that then would play the loser of North Carolina and Tennessee. The Florida State, Virginia loser in that scenario, and I'm playing theoretical, would be out. Okay, Florida State, North Carolina winner at that point, they both have a loss. It's an elimination game. whoever loses goes home. Whoever wins is back to play Tennessee in that scenario. Tennessee does not have to be double dipped to go to the house in that scenario because that's the game to get to the championship series. It'll be whoever wins it takes it. And, it's kind of a crazy theory, but it was the same way in the SEC championship, SEC tournament this year. When Tennessee made it back to play Vanderbilt the second time, they didn't have to double dip them. They just had to beat them the one time, even though Vanderbilt was undefeated in the tournament up to that point. It's kind of a kooky rule, but, at the same time, it doesn't make teams just gas out and, lose their pitching either. So that's what it is. It's not necessarily double elimination. It can be, but that's how it'll work. If they were then to make it to the championship series, which I would think would start not this coming weekend, obviously, but next weekend, then it would be best out of three. Win two and you win the championship, lose two and you go to the house on it. So that's kind of where we're at with Omaha. Should be exciting. It's going to be an all ACC, SEC College World Series. We're just waiting on NC State and Georgia tonight to complete it. It's possible the other side of the bracket with Florida, Kentucky, Texas A&M, RAN. It's possible. I haven't seen these scores yet. I've not even looked. Let me pull it up while we're on here to kind of get a little bit of a hint, just because I'm interested who it may be. NC State's up 4-2 on Georgia in the fourth inning. So a long way to go in that one, especially with both those offenses that can make some noise. But definitely an SEC, ACC, College World Series, Tennessee, and 3 ACC teams on their part. And Tennessee did have one guy who hit the portal today. He was not on the active roster this year. He's freshman pitcher. I think I saw on Knox Catholic, Daniel Paris. So the 3 guys for Tennessee who have hit the portal, none of them were on the active roster this year. So it's essentially, best of luck to these guys, but considering they weren't relied on this year or anything, I mean, I don't know that you consider and say it's a loss for them. Is it guys that could have possibly helped next year down the line? Sure, absolutely. But it didn't affect the current roster. And, I don't know, especially if you're not on the active roster now, who's to say next year when these other guys that have been in the program are going to take those steps. So, there'll be more. There will be more. There's no doubt about it. There will be more visitors coming in. And no mistake about it. Tony Vitello's like Rick Barnes. He's like Josh Heupel. They're not just going to go out and overpay like Ole Miss does in football. They're not going to take a guy like a Tyler Barron, who this calendar year has been on 4 rosters technically because he was on Tennessee's at the turn of the year. Then he went to Ole Miss. Then he left and went to Louisville. And then now he's at Miami. A guy who's just out trying to make the most money and who, from what I've seen, got kicked off at Louisville because he's flapping his gums about making the most money. They're not going to have guys like that in the program. I think that was a little bit of it last year. Maui Ahuna come in. There was rumors about him and money, and I think feelings got hurt on that. And Tony got pretty pissed last night talking about he doesn't like that perception. And, his program is not built off of NIL. It's been built from the ground up. It started back in 2019. It was going to happen in 2020. It happened in 2021, 22, and so on. That was before NIL. So people saying he's built his program off NIL are full of it. Bottom line with that. Just the same as people saying, well, he'll leave for Texas. They're full of it. Why would he leave for Texas? You've got the hottest baseball program in all the country right now. It'd be insane to me. I guess you never say never, but I'm fully confident Tony Vitello is going to be here. And I think after the College World Series, you'll hear about him getting an extension as well. Danny White's on this. I feel admin's on this in Knoxville. They're not going to let him get gone. They know what they've got. They've got the best coach in college baseball right now, or arguably one of the best. It's not even arguable. It's not even arguable. He's one of the best. It is arguable he is the best. Obviously, we're going to see it that way. But, I think he can put a stamp on that if they go take care of business in Omaha, which I'm feeling pretty good about. I'm really feeling good about with this team, with their depth, with what they're doing. I think it'll all carry over. And the team, to me, just seems like a team that's focused. They're on a mission, and they're going to bring it home next week. But, I'm excited about that. Again, preview tomorrow night of the Omaha Regional. I'll release that sometime tomorrow evening. And then, we'll see where the rest of the week goes. Right now, basketball coverage, a little bit of hiatus. There's just not much news. After this week, I'll have a lot more time to bring a lot more stuff. So right now, with the time I have, I'm focusing on baseball. That's the main event in town to me right now. And, Tennessee's got a chance to add a national championship. Let's hope they do. And we'll wrap this thing up right here. Again, thank you guys for your support. Make sure you like, you share, you subscribe. If you like the content, you want to say thanks down in that bottom corner. There is that super thanks button. Always appreciative of that as well. But my name's Frank Rock. This is the House of Orange Sports Channel. Have a great rest of your Monday. And last but most certainly not least, go Vols.